Listen up, okay? Because this is important. Hi, I'm Dr. Lisa Ryan. I hope to make you think today about how a small, considerate action can make a world of difference to someone else. Likewise, failure to act when we see something wrong is arguably more important. In this video, I'm going to encourage you to shore up your backbone and take action when you see injustice. It's the least we can hope someone would do for us when we are the one being treated unjustly. If you haven't heard the starfish story, you should. Here it is. A young man is walking along the ocean and sees a beach on which thousands and thousands of starfish have washed ashore. Further along, he sees a little boy walking and bending over, often to pick up one starfish after another and toss it back into the ocean. The man asks, "Why are you throwing starfish into the ocean?" The boy says, "Because the sun is up and the tide is going out, and if I don't throw them back further in, they will die." "But young man, don't you realize there are miles and miles of beach and starfish along all of it? You can't possibly save them all, and you can't even save 1/10 of them. In fact, even if you work all day, your efforts won't make any difference at all." The boy listened calmly, and then he bent down and picked up another starfish and gently tossed it into the sea, saying, "It made a difference to that one." Out of the mouths of babes, right? If we were one of those starfish, we'd be hoping that boy saw us. Edmund Burke, a prominent figure in 18th century political thought, said, "Evil prevails when good men do nothing." He made this observation, and I think he was spot on. I think we know he was spot on. Today's news makes me think about this topic. There is much injustice, and it's easy to look the other way. But we have a moral obligation to actively work against injustice and oppression, big scale or small scale, because it isn't good enough to have good intentions or moral values. If that's all we've got, really, whoop-de-doo. The smaller injustices are important to the individuals involved, but often we're deluged with so much information about great big injustices that it can all feel overwhelming. The 24-hour news cycle is relentless, and we know we can't begin to fix it all. The good news is that we are never called to fix it all. Instead, we are called to do what we can in our sphere of influence. That is what I am doing right now in this video. I'm making an effort. I know it's made a difference for some, and that is what makes it all worth it. We all have choices, but it's the ones we make that define us. Imagine that you're on trial and the room is full of people who know you are innocent, but you are convicted because none of them would speak up. We live in a weird time in history where people simply want to do what they want to do, no matter how it affects others. Others may observe very questionable behavior and decide it isn't their business or problem, or that we should all just live and let live. I've seen one person on a phone in a movie theater disturbing many, and yet everyone, including the big burly guys, were quiet. Why? Being polite is always called for. Doing or saying nothing in a case like this isn't. I've spoken up before and had other people thank me later. I think, why didn't you back me up at the time? If we're polite ourselves, people often react very well. Sometimes people are completely unaware that they're bothering other people. This type of consideration isn't a problem in all countries, But for some reason, many people in my Northern American country have become focused on self and less or completely inconsiderate toward others. Some things are not our problem, but are a problem for someone else. I'm going to tell you about my own inaction that I regret to this day. I was in a department store when I was probably in my 20s. So, early last year. There was a woman shopping with a little girl who was about 5. The lady had the little girl sitting on the floor waiting while she shopped. When I saw this child's eyes, I was incredibly concerned for her. Her hollow stare said it all, and her defensive, unnatural movements when her mom came near made it perfectly clear that she was an abuse victim. I think it was a very severe case. I wanted to help this child so much, but I was in a store. I had no idea what I could do. Her mother didn't do anything wrong in my presence. I didn't know her name or where they lived or anything at all. If it were today, I would have followed them to their car and gotten a license plate number or called a hotline for advice. That child needed help, and I couldn't figure out what I had the power to do in that moment. I'm still sorry, and I pray that someone else did do something to help her. If something reminds me, I still see her desperate and frantic looking eyes. Anyone paying attention has seen this look on an animal's face too. They use photos of these animals on prevention of cruelty materials a lot. The eyes really are the windows to the soul. Side thought here. If you own an animal, please give it the medical care it needs and show it compassion. Most of the time, what we observe is less serious and easier to act on. Let's not be so afraid of each other that we sit silently when we see something that isn't right. For instance, when two people are not getting along in a family or classroom or other group, it is appropriate for those who care and see the dynamic to encourage reconciliation. Sometimes a simple acknowledgement of the situation with a gentle nudge to forgive or to talk can mean the difference between nothing happening and making peace. I actually heard of a reconciliation today that happened because someone I love was brave enough to speak up. All that said, we do need to use good judgment because if we don't really know a situation, our advice isn't needed. But if we see a negative dynamic happening, then we have something factual to comment on or act on. When we express concern or encourage peace, we might not get a great reception, but most of the time, when we come from a place that is truly caring, people know it. Someone might snap at us, but still, they hear what we said. If we know for sure that something is wrong, doing nothing at all is cowardly and also wrong. It makes us complicit. One time I had a patient at the Veterans Administration with a lot of problems stemming from combat PTSD. I really felt sorry for the guy. He was with his wife, and you could tell they were both worn out, and neither of them was very nice to the other. I was young and hesitant. I wasn't there to be a marriage counselor, but I finally said a prayer and opened my mouth. I acknowledged that what they were going through together seemed very difficult. I told them I saw their interaction and suspected that it was even less kind when they were alone. They both kind of sheepishly nodded. I encouraged them to see that they could either pull apart over their situation or they could come together and support one another. Thankfully, the tension broke and they thanked me. I wanted for them to see how they were adding to their own stress. I wanted them to care about the other. I was afraid to speak up, but I have learned that when a person is coming from love, people know it. We don't want to jump to conclusions, but some things are just obvious. Recently, I saw a man dragging an old dog along on a leash. The dog could barely walk because he was stiff. It was clearly in pain. I couldn't stand it. I went up to the guy and asked if I could pet the dog. I told him I could see how difficult it was for the dog to walk. He told me the dog's fine. Very nicely, I told him the dog wasn't fine. I told him I was a doctor and could see how stiff and painful looking his movement was. I wasn't accusatory, but friendly and caring. I told the guy that some people buy strollers when their dogs are old, and that if I still had one, I would give it to him. The man knew I cared and actually thanked me. I think he loved his 14-year-old dog, but I suspect that no one had pointed out to him what I was seeing. I asked him to please walk the dog slowly. I'm glad I opened my mouth. I hope the guy is trying to be more considerate of his elderly dog. Like I said, when we come from a place of love, people know it. One time, my mom suggested that I was a bit harder on my older child than my younger one. I didn't like it, and I probably did not say thank you. Too much pride. But you know what? I did hear her, and I remembered better that my older child was still young. I'm glad my mom said what she did. As a matter of fact, all these years later, I still remember it, right? Some things are none of our business, but lots of things are. Any behavior that affects our society or safety or our planet is our business. A person being threatening or driving recklessly or littering are examples. Also, when you have financial responsibility in a situation, it becomes your business. Like if you are putting your money toward your child's college tuition, you have a right to know you are investing your money well. If you support an adult, it is right to expect them to do their part and be responsible. If parents abdicate teaching and disciplining their kids, kids go awry. It's human nature for us to push our limits when no one says anything. We need to speak up and protect what is right and good. All our amazing love that most of us would say we have carries with it obligations. That love is nothing without action. Action brings change. So unless you love everything you see going on around you, it's time to think about being part of the solution. We can't take action on every cause, but we must take action on some cause or a few causes or situations that we care about. There are children, animals, elderly, and people who need us. Many people. We are fooling ourselves if we think that we are not all interconnected. We share a planet together, and we are either helping make existence better or not. Our connections go beyond our biological families. If we are not personally inconvenienced by the problems of others sometimes, we probably need to reevaluate our level of caring. If our hearts are full, but we turn a blind eye to our neighbor's problem, we are missing the joy of making a difference for someone who needs us. Don't we so appreciate it when someone steps in to support us? People often report to one another the unjust thing that someone else did. If we do have the ability to help and we don't, then it's the same as saying, I don't care. Watching a bully or abuser or other injustice and doing nothing is not okay. We might as well say, I saw it with my own two eyes and did absolutely nothing. I'd rather gossip about this later than do anything meaningful. That's blunt, and that is the bottom line. Brendan Francis Bean wrote another quote I like. Many of our fears are tissue paper thin, and a single courageous step would carry us clear through them. Be courageous and do what is right. And the last saying of the day, what goes around comes around. We hope that someone with a brave heart or the determination to take action will be there for us when we need it. Let's have hearts of a lion and take action on injustices. I don't believe there is really any selfless action we can take for others, except maybe to lie down our life for them. Because when we do right, we feel right, and our hearts grow just a little bit bigger. So you're going to go out in the world and be one of the cool people, right? The next time you see something that calls for someone to take action, let that someone be you. Thanks for listening, beautiful. Share this with someone who needs the encouragement.